2,000 years ago, the city of Rome was drinking better water delivered more reliably than most cities on Earth do today. And it was doing it without a single pump, without a drop of fuel, and without one moving part. The entire system ran on one force: gravity. And the physics behind it hasn't gone anywhere. It's sitting in the ground under your feet right now, waiting for someone to actually use it. Here's the part that gets left out of most tellings of this story. Roman aqueducts weren't primarily the dramatic stone bridges you're picturing right now. Those arched structures, the ones tourists photograph in southern France and Spain, were actually the exception, built only where the terrain demanded it. The vast majority of a Roman aqueduct ran underground, in a covered channel, following the natural contour of the land. It looked like nothing. And that was the entire point. The real engineering marvel wasn't the stonework, it was the slope. To move water from a spring to a city using nothing but gravity, Roman surveyors had to calculate an almost impossibly precise downhill gradient, steep enough that the water kept moving, shallow enough that it didn't erode the channel or arrive with damaging force. The Aqua Claudia, completed in 52 AD, dropped at an average gradient of roughly 1 in 258 over its entire length. The aqueduct feeding the city of Nemausus, modern-day Nimes in France, dropped just 12 meters in elevation over 50 kilometers of channel. That works out to about 24 centimeters of drop for every kilometer traveled, less than the width of a shoebox for the length of 10 football fields. And when the landscape refused to cooperate, when a valley cut straight across the planned route, Roman engineers didn't panic and reach for a bridge every time. Bridges were expensive and, past a certain depth, structurally dangerous. Instead, for many valleys, they used something called an inverted siphon. Water would flow into a sealed tank at the top of one slope, drop through lead pipes down into the valley floor, and, using nothing but the pressure built up by its own weight, push itself back up the other side, emerging at a receiving tank just slightly lower than where it started. No pump, no external force, just water pressure doing exactly what water pressure does in a sealed pipe. The same physics that lets water rise in a simple U-shaped tube. The pressures involved at the bottom of some of these siphons were enormous. Engineers were routing lead pipe through valley floors that had to withstand forces far beyond anything a simple household pipe experiences today, and they got it right consistently enough that some of these systems ran for generations. Where a valley was too shallow for a siphon but too deep to simply channel across, they would use a low bridge called a venter to carry the pipe partway before it climbed the far slope. Every choice, tunnel, bridge, or siphon, came down to the same underlying question. What is the cheapest way to preserve the gradient without losing pressure or letting the water slow down enough to stagnate? This is the part worth sitting with for a second. 2,000 years before anyone had a term for hydrostatic pressure, Roman engineers were exploiting it with enough precision to move a valley's worth of elevation change without losing a drop. So why call this vanished when the truth is almost the opposite? This principle never actually left. It is not some forgotten secret waiting to be rediscovered. It is running under major cities right now. New York City delivers something like 95% of its water supply using gravity alone, drawing from reservoirs in the Catskill Mountains that sit high enough above the city to push water through the system with essentially no pumping required. Los Angeles has relied on similar gravity-driven infrastructure for over a century. The vanished framing gets the story backwards. What actually happened is that this idea scaled up to become the backbone of modern municipal water systems, and it scaled down almost to nothing at the level of the individual home, where electric pumps became the default because they are simpler to install on flat suburban lots. The knowledge isn't lost. It has just been sitting one level removed from most homeowners for the last century. So here's the honest version of the hack, not a secret, just underused math. The relationship between elevation and water pressure is fixed and completely predictable. Every foot of vertical height between a water source and the point where you are using it generates about 0.433 pounds per square inch of pressure. That's it. That's the entire formula the Romans were working with, just expressed in modern units. Put a tank of water 10 feet above a garden bed, and gravity alone gives you a bit over 4 pounds of pressure at the outlet. Enough for a slow, steady drip irrigation line, no electricity involved. Put that same tank on a hillside 60 to 70 feet above your home, and you start approaching 26 to 30 pounds of pressure needed for basic household use, like a low-flow shower or a garden hose with real force behind it. Get up around 115 feet of elevation difference, and you are in the range of full standard residential water pressure, 30 to 50 pounds per square inch, the same pressure your municipal water line delivers, produced by nothing but height. This is where the honest caveats matter, because a video promising $0 home water forever without them would be lying to you. Most suburban and urban properties simply do not have 70, let alone 115 feet of usable elevation between a rooftop tank and a kitchen faucet. If you are on flat land, gravity alone is not going to run your shower, your washing machine, or your whole house at full municipal pressure. That is real physics, not a limitation someone is hiding from you. Where this actually works, and works well, is anywhere you have real elevation to spare, a hillside property, a barn or workshop downhill from a water tank, a garden or livestock trough fed from an elevated cistern, or a rural homestead with a spring positioned uphill from the house. In those specific situations, this is not a gimmick. It is a genuinely proven, still in use method for delivering pressurized water with zero ongoing electrical cost. The same reason off-grid homesteaders and rural properties with the right terrain still build gravity-fed systems today, right alongside their solar panels and wood stoves. Building one starts with the same question a Roman surveyor would have asked 2,000 years ago. How much elevation do you actually have to work with? Measure the vertical distance between your water source, a rain catchment tank, a spring, a cistern, and your highest point of use. That number, multiplied by 0.433, tells you your maximum realistic pressure before you have spent a single dollar on pipe. From there, the build itself is straightforward, and it mirrors Roman practice almost exactly, just with better materials. Where they used lead and terracotta, modern systems use HDPE or PVC piping, rated for decades of service and far easier to work with. Where they built settling basins to let sediment drop out of the water before it reached the city, a modern system uses a simple pre-filter or first flush diverter on the tank inlet, and where Roman distribution points, called castella, split water off to different parts of a city at controlled rates, a modern gravity system uses a manifold at the base of the tank to split the line into separate runs for the house, the garden, and any outbuildings. Sizing the pipe matters more than people expect. A pipe that is too narrow creates friction losses that eat into your hard-won elevation pressure before it ever reaches the tap. The Romans dealt with an equivalent problem, overbuilding their channels specifically to avoid losing pressure to drag along the walls. For most home systems, a 1-inch mainline feeding into 3/4-inch branches keeps flow strong enough for practical use without wasting the pressure you have built through elevation alone. Sizing the pipe matters more than people expect. A pipe that is too narrow creates friction losses that eat into your hard-won elevation pressure before it ever reaches the tap. The Romans dealt with an equivalent problem, overbuilding their channels specifically to avoid losing pressure to drag along the walls. For most home systems, a 1-inch mainline feeding into 3/4-inch branches keeps flow strong enough for practical use without wasting the pressure you have built through elevation alone. Storage matters just as much as elevation. A Roman aqueduct was not a simple pipe from spring to city. It was a continuous system, feeding water in at a steady, modest rate, and relying on distribution tanks along the route to smooth out demand. A modern home version works the same way. A spring or rain catchment system might only deliver a couple of gallons per minute on its own, nowhere near enough for a household's peak demand during, say, a morning shower and a load of laundry running at once. The fix is not a bigger source. It is a storage tank at elevation that fills continuously between periods of heavy use, then delivers a strong, short burst of flow when you actually need it. Undersize that storage tank and you will get plenty of pressure but run dry the moment two fixtures run at once. This is precisely the same principle behind Roman castella, the distribution tanks that split an aqueduct's flow into multiple outlets across the city, evening out supply so no single tap starved while another ran freely. And this is genuinely a zero operating cost system in the way that matters most. Once the tank is elevated and the pipe is in the ground, there is no pump drawing electricity, no motor to maintain, no moving part to eventually fail. That was the entire Roman insight, and it is just as true today. Gravity does not send you a bill. None of this means abandoning a modern well pump or municipal connection. For most properties, gravity is a powerful supplement, not a full replacement. A gravity-fed line is exceptional for garden irrigation, livestock water, outdoor washing stations, or emergency backup during a power outage, precisely when an electric pump is the thing that has failed you. Pair it with a rainwater catchment system on an elevated tank, and you have effectively rebuilt, at home scale, the exact principle that supplied Roman cities of 1 million people, and still, quietly, supplies some of the largest cities on Earth today. The real story here is not a hidden trick that utility companies buried to protect their profits. It is the opposite. It is an engineering principle so effective that it scaled up into the backbone of modern civilization, while somehow being left out of the conversation at the scale of an individual home. Rome did not hide this. New York did not hide this. The math has been sitting in plain sight the entire time. 0.433 pounds per square inch for every foot you can gain. The only thing that vanished was the assumption that a homeowner might actually want to use it. If there is a single lesson worth carrying out of this one, it is that the most durable engineering ideas are rarely secret, they are just unglamorous. A downhill slope, a sealed pipe, an elevated tank. Nothing about it makes for a dramatic headline, which is probably exactly why it gets rediscovered every generation. Instead of staying part of the common knowledge passed from one homeowner to the next, the Romans did not need electricity to solve this problem 2,000 years ago. On the right piece of land, you do not either.